Okay, so today we're diving into this hostage situation
Oh, yeah.
surrounding Arbel Yehoud.
Right.
She's an Israeli civilian being held by Hamas.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this really fragile ceasefire deal that's in place.
Yeah.
I mean, essentially, both sides agreed to temporarily stop fighting
Yeah.
while they try to negotiate the release of all these hostages.
Yeah.
And Hamas was supposed to release Yehoud as part of this deal, but that hasn't happened.
It hasn't.
So the big question here is why? Like, what's actually going on?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's a very complicated situation for sure. And what makes it even more
Interesting.
well, yeah, interesting and kind of scary is that this seemingly small incident, like one person,
Right.
could actually derail the entire agreement
Totally.
and have much broader implications.
Oh, absolutely. And in order to try to figure out what's at stake here, we're going to turn to some analysis from Brigadier General Yossi Kuperwasser. He's a leading expert on Israeli security.
Right.
And he gave a really insightful interview to Mariv.
Okay.
So we're going to break down some of his thoughts.
Sounds good.
So to start off with,
Yeah.
Kuperwasser states that Hamas will clearly pay a price for not upholding their end of the bargain.
Okay.
But then he also mentions that there could be all these technical difficulties.
Difficulties.
Yeah, preventing them from actually getting to Yehoud.
What does that even mean in this context? Is he talking about disagreements within Hamas about releasing her?
Potentially?
Or maybe logistical issues in transporting her?
Yeah.
Or could it even be a deliberate tactic to kind of delay things and try to get more concessions out of it?
Right. Those are all possibilities that we need to consider.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it really all comes down to trying to understand Hamas's motives.
Right.
So Kuperwasser suggests that they're walking this very fine line.
Okay.
They need to at least appear
Right.
to be complying with the deal.
To save face.
Well, to achieve their objectives right, which are the release of their prisoners,
Of course.
the flow of aid into Gaza,
Yeah.
and the ability to start rebuilding.
Mm-hmm.
All of these things will help them to consolidate control over Gaza.
Makes sense.
But it seems like their ultimate goal
Yeah.
is just survival.
Survival, staying in power.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So everything they do, every decision they make, boils down to that one fundamental objective.
Self-preservation.
Exactly.
At all costs.
So they might appear to be complying.
Right.
But it's just them strategically maneuvering.
To get what they really want.
Exactly. To gain resources,
Mm-hmm.
to strengthen their position, and ultimately to ensure their own survival.
All right. It's all about the long game for them.
Exactly.
Right.
So knowing all of that, how should we be interpreting their actions in this particular instance? What is this telling us about their strategy?
Right.
And what does this mean for Israel?
Yeah.
Or anyone else for that matter who's trying to negotiate with them?
It's a good question. And, we have to remember that for Hamas, getting their people out of Israeli prisons is a massive win.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, it strengthens their image.
Absolutely.
It reinforces their commitment to the Palestinian cause in their eyes.
Right. And we can't forget the specifics of this deal, right?
No, absolutely not.
Female civilians were supposed to be released first, even before any of the soldiers.
Right.
So this is pretty clearly a violation of what they agreed to.
Yeah, it is. And, 4 female soldiers were released.
Right.
Larry Albag, Karina Uryev, Daniela Gilboa, and Nama Levy.
Right. But Arbel Yehoud was not one of them.
Exactly.
And Israel's response to this was pretty immediate and pretty decisive.
What did they do?
Well, they blocked Gazans from entering northern Gaza
Oh, wow.
until Yehoud is released.
Okay.
And both the Prime Minister's office and the IDF, they've made it very clear that they're committed to getting all of the hostages back.
All of them.
Yehoud Shiri Bibas and her children. Fear and Ariel.
Wow.
No exception.
So they're taking a hard line.
It seems that way. And, this firm stance from Israel has the potential to really escalate tensions.
Yeah.
And could significantly impact how this all plays out.
For sure.
Remains to be seen whether this will force Hamas to act or not.
Yeah. It's a real standoff.
And while we're here analyzing the political strategies at play, we can't forget that there are actual human lives at stake here.
Absolutely.
Arbel Yehoud, Shiri Bibas, and her children, they're enduring a terrifying and just unimaginable ordeal.
Yeah, it's easy to forget about the human cost when we talk about these things in such abstract terms.
Right.
But these are real people whose lives are hanging in the balance.
Exactly.
It's heartbreaking.
So one thing I found particularly interesting was Kuperwasser's warning.
Oh, yeah. What was that?
He suggested Hamas might try to create this illusion of relinquishing control in Gaza.
Oh, really? Like as a gesture of goodwill?
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
like a classic smoke and mirrors tactic.
Oh, very sneaky.
But Kuperwasser cautions that it won't be genuine.
Of course not.
Right, they'll likely just turn around and demand guarantees against future attacks as their price for fully complying with the deal.
Right. So it's just a ploy to get what they want.
Exactly. And if we connect this back to the bigger picture,
Yeah.
it kind of exposes this potential for this cycle of conflict and manipulation to continue indefinitely.
Right, because there's no real trust.
Right.
And each side is constantly trying to outmaneuver the other.
So to recap, I think we've uncovered some really crucial insights into Hamas's strategy and how fragile this whole hostage situation is.
Very fragile.
But as you said earlier, it leaves us with some really big questions.
Huge questions.
Like, how will this impact future interactions between Israel and Hamas?
Right.
And most importantly, what does it mean for the stability of the region and the lives of those who are still held captive?
I think that's what keeps me up at night, honestly.
Yeah.
These are questions that we all need to really grapple with. Because this situation is incredibly complex and constantly evolving, and the way this is resolved will undoubtedly have lasting consequences.
It will, for sure.
Everyone involved.
Right.